Whoever's making noise will show up in the main screen.
And then include myself in the grid. What does that mean? That means my video is going to be on for this, unless I cry with Max, and then I have to turn my video off because it's about study side.
If you include your video in the grid, then you'll just see your own video in the grid.
Okay.
All you need?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Who's all doing speeches today, Max?
Max and Ike, little Ike, Blum, Klotz, and Maddy Aldrin, who you don't know, Samara, Joseph, who's new to our school this year. Cool. Who am I missing? Is there 5 of you today?
There's 5. Joseph, Max, Maddy, Samara, and Ike. Is Samara here?
Samara? I don't see Samara yet.
Okay, good luck on speeches.
Does anyone do you have Samara? Does anyone have Samara's number on their phone? Like Maxie, do you have Samara's number on your cell phone?
I think Joseph does.
Oh, that's funny. Joseph, will you text Samara and make sure Samara is up and awake and ready?
Sure.
Thank you, babe.
Amy, I just checked and the live is running, so they should be able to refresh now and see it.
Thank you. Scott, do you want to, are you going to watch, or should I put my headbuds on? Okay. I don't know. Yeah. Do any of our speakers have someone named Lori in their family that would want to come in? Lauri. I'm just going to say yes.
Lori.
The Mo Phillips.
No Mo Phillips or Mo Phillips?
No, Mo just entered, yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Hi, Mo, I see you. Mo, if you'd like to turn on your video and your mic, then when you start to play, you'll be highlighted for people. I think I might have just let Samara in, Justine. Thank you. Yeah.
Hi, Samara. Welcome to Speeches. Samara, go ahead and put on your video and your mic. Come on forward so we can test you out.
Okay.
So yeah, we hear you.
Hey, speakers, did you hear us say the other day, if you would like to see each other's faces, in addition to like Carrie and Alex and Michael, we allow speakers to keep their camera on just so you can get some like facial feedback. You don't have to, but we're not going to tell you to turn your cameras off. You do need to turn your mics off when you're not speaking so that we don't hear the background noise at your house. But oftentimes friends have signed up on the same day, right? So we want to make sure that you can see each other's faces if you want to. And if you turn your camera off, that's just your signal to us that you don't want your camera on. But if you want to keep it on, that's totally fine. Okay? Okay.
Hi, Samara. Oh, you just turned it off.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Good, good.
Okay.
Say that again.
You're in now?
Yes. I'm doing good.
Good.
Kind of
Did you have a
nervous.
good week? Did you have a good weekend?
Yes.
Good.
Mo Phillips, can we test you real quick with your camera and your mic on, please? If you're there.
Mo says technical difficulty.
I'll text him. I'm just shutting my lips.
Why can't I?
No, we're not on. There's 83 people on here. Who's this? Oh, there's Aunt Jennifer.
Mo, you can also stand with Owen if you'd like to do it that way.
He just left. Families, students, if you would please turn off your mic.
Okay.
That would be great. Mic's off. There's Mo.
Okay, I think I figured it out.
Yeah.
Good morning, friends. How's it going?
Mo, we usually wait till around 11:03. I see
Okay.
our numbers are growing. If you look at the little number thing, we're at 160. We get close to 200 usually.
Okay, cool. Sounds great.
You can start playing whenever you want, actually. Get serenade
Why
us.
don't I just
Yes,
play,
do
and
it.
You guys can tell me to stop. I felt like doing this one this morning because I was thinking about my friends. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle, I'm gonna do that in that height. That will kill me. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world, find you. If you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of. We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're tossing every turn and you just can't fall asleep. I'll sing a song beside you. And if you ever forget how much you mean to me, every day I'll remind you. Find out what we're made of. We are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. You'll always have my shoulder when you cry. I'll never let go, never say goodbye. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be. I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, you'll be. So that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Count on me, 'cause I can count on you.
Ow!
That one.
Yeah, Mo Phillips. Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
What is good, middle school community? There are 201 people in this room and more, thanks to Eamon connecting through YouTube. Welcome back to our 8th grade speeches. Thank you all for being here and showing up for one another. And a big thanks to Mo for being willing to jump into this space to kick off our meetings so that you don't have to see Alex or I's face with a clipboard anymore and listen to our music off our computers. It's nice to bring your joy into this space, Mo. It's nice to bring your music into this space. That's how we're going to be starting our 8th grade speeches meetings every Monday and Wednesday this week. And we'll see how it goes and go from there. With that in mind, Mo has also been putting together different songs that he sings in video format, some more serious than others, some quite silly and ridiculous. And we're going to give you access to some of those songs and videos where it's like some sort of music app. I think it's called Acapella, where basically there's 3 heads of Mo singing at once. And we're going to give you access to that through the your Google Classrooms and core classes so that if you hear a song, you're like, I could use some more morning meeting songs in my life. It's there for you to explore. And if not, no worries. So thank you, Mo. Okay, y'all. It hasn't been said, but it seems like you get it. So I'm going to say it once and then we're going to kind of move on. But thank you for making sure when you look in the upper right-hand corner of your screen that your camera is off unless you are one of our speakers or supporting our speakers today, and that your mic is off. So if you see the 3 blue dots, that means your mic's on. Make sure it's the crossed out mic that's in red. That's what we want to see when you look up in the upper right corner. So thank you for being aware of that and being aware of that throughout the meeting, and then recognizing that throughout this space, since we are here to support our 5 speakers, we're not going to be in the chat. We are not going to be using the emojis. The last few weeks in my core class communities, we've been focusing on the words fear and courage. And I saw evidence of, we had a student in my class come up with the quote of, fear is an opportunity to use courage. And I thought that was very simple and fitting and beautiful and relevant to what we're doing in this space. Last week in our 2 days of speech meetings, we saw evidence of both people stepping through that fear using courage over and over again. We saw it from our speakers on day 1 and 2. So thank you to Emmett and Cash and Wrigley, Logan and Adelaide, and Eamon, Ethan, Elsie, Caden, and Caleb for kicking this off in such a beautiful and powerful way last week. And then we also saw evidence of it in this space that we could have a 200+ person Google meeting filled with middle schoolers functioning on a level that is higher than most businesses that have been doing this all day throughout this distance learning time. And we most definitely saw it on the Padlets. Those were artifacts of courage from all of you who chose to go on there, even if it wasn't someone you knew all that well, to share an appreciation for the speakers and what they had to say. So thank you all for both showing up in this space. Thank you to our speakers in this space. And then also thank you all for taking the time to support one another in the Padlets. The word that's happening in my core class that's being focused on this week is solidarity. And that word is going to have a place in our 8th grade meetings here as well. We have all chosen to be here and to support over the next 15, 30 minutes, 5 people putting themselves out there, taking incredible acts of courage, and then us being here and holding space for them, and then showing up in the Padlets and in our core classes is a way that we can be in solidarity with them as they speak their truths. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for continuing to practice these ideas of courage despite fear and being in solidarity with one another.
Michael, can I add one quick thing onto that? I just want to tell all our middle schoolers that Alex and I were in a principal meeting last week, and a couple of the principals said, I would call it a microaggression, that they've started to stop large meetings with middle schoolers, specifically 7th and 8th graders, because they couldn't control online behavior. And I didn't yell at them. I just kept my words to myself. And I flipped that into what Michael's talking about, into solidarity and pride, because I just thought to myself, I don't have to worry about that ever as a principal at our school. We're bringing 207 people into this space respectfully as part of a community. And I don't ever have to think about that you would do something online that would harm someone in the community. I wish all principals had that piece of heart. It was unexpected to hear that some don't, but it also made me really appreciate this group that much more, to know that 2 and 3 miles away, other middle schools are not able to do a meeting like this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Amy. With that said, it is now time to center this space on student voice. And so we are going to begin the process of jumping into our 5 8th grade speeches today. So we're going to begin with a mic check, and then I'll turn it over to each speaker one at a time, and we'll wrap up with Carrie and Robin summarizing our speeches and sending us off to core class. I got my clipboard and pencil with me today. It helps me track ideas that jump out to me during the speeches so that my feedback can be specific. And I would encourage you all to do the same. So our 5 speakers today are Joseph, Max, Maddy, Samara, and Ike. Thank you 5 for starting your Monday by bringing a part of you out to our entire middle school community. We're going to do a mic check really quick to make sure our video and mics are all working. So Joseph, Max, Maddy, Samara, and Ike, if you haven't already done so, and again, I'm limited in what I can see on my screen, so I actually don't 100% know. If you haven't done so, please bring your cameras on, and then we'll do mics one at a time. Thank you, you five, for being here today. Thank you, you five, for stepping into this courageously despite fears, and I'm happy and excited to hear your perspective and truth. Joseph, you're our first speaker today, so let's just do a quick video mic check. Joseph, can you hear me? Hello.
Yep.
Yo, Joseph, what is your current game of choice that you're enjoying most outside of distance learning stuff?
Probably Warzone.
Right on. I've been hearing about this. Okay, Joseph, take a moment. We're going to come back to you after our mic check, but mute your mic right now until we come back. And then we'll come back to you after our mic checks. Max Wallace, you're our second speaker today. Are you here? Hello, Max Wallace.
Yeah, what's up, Michael? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I can see you. Right on, Max. Max, what's your current favorite snack of choice these days?
Snack? Ooh, I like, I don't know. I'm making a lot of smoothies. It's been good. But I also like Cheetos a lot.
Cheetos and smoothies are two very different snack options. One more healthy, perhaps. One way more delicious. Thank you. Maddy, you're our third speaker. Max, you can go ahead and mute, and we'll come back to you for speeches. Maddy, you're our third speaker. Are you here, Maddy? Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Maddy. Can I ask you a question? I'm embarrassed to ask in front of everybody, but I didn't get a chance to check in with you. Can you pronounce your last name for me so I don't mispronounce it when I do your speech? Aldrin. Okay, right on, Maddy. Thank you. Welcome to the space. You can mute your mic, and we'll come back to you when it's your turn. Samara, you're our fourth speaker today. Are you here, Samara? Hello, Samara. Samara, just to make sure your mic's working, we're all good. What's something that you've been doing outside of distance learning lately while we're in social distance?
I got a longboard, so I've kind of been doing that. It's been fun.
Right on. And no injuries yet. So that's exciting. Hooray. And then our final speaker today is Ike. Ike, are you here? Good day, Ike.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you, hence the mic check, and we can see you. Right on. Ike, what is your favorite thing to eat for breakfast?
Eggo waffles.
Eggos. Right on. Okay. 8th grade speakers, Joseph, Max, Maddy, Samara, and Ike. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for bringing a part of you to our community. We appreciate you making this space. We are now ready to begin our 8th grade speeches. Everyone, make sure you take a moment to make sure that your mics are off, cameras are off, unless you're our speakers or our supporters. And with that, we are ready to begin our first full week of 8th grade speeches. Our first speaker today is Joseph Borenstein.
All right, hey. It was my first day ever at a public middle school. I was so nervous about schoolwork, friends, public speaking, and pretty much everything else. Walking into the classroom and not knowing anyone was probably one of the scariest moments of my life. When we all sit down in a circle, everyone gets quiet. Michael introduces me and it feels like I make eye contact with every single person in the room. While we're going around the circle, telling everyone a little bit about ourselves, it gets to me. For a second I stutter, and it feels like 7 years before I finally manage to get some words out. I'm still extremely nervous that people are going to judge me and give me weird looks, but that's the exact opposite of what happened. No one really cared, and I got the same reactions as everyone else, which was definitely more than amazing. After that, most of my fears were gone, and I was glad this was going to be my community for the rest of the school year. Throughout the time I've been here, I've gone through a lot of challenges I would have been afraid to face a year ago. Public speaking was a big one for me, but I'm here right now, aren't I? Before this, the only public speaking thing I've done was give a presentation to about 9 people. Not that much, and even that made my stomach go up and down. Now this is a whole different story. Even though it's overcall, speaking to this many people is extremely terrifying, and I've been dreading it for a while. Another challenge that I've faced was meeting new friends. This was a big one for me, especially because moving to a new school for 8th grade is really scary. My first week kind of went like this. Classes, lunch, play basketball and be awkward, and then some more classes and go home. Not very exciting. After a month or so, I began to get closer with people and started to hang out with them. Ways I connected with them were through basketball during recess, hanging out after school, and skating. My favorite thing about my friend group is probably that everyone is down to do whatever and makes anything boring fun. One of my favorite memories with them is this one sleepover we had for New Year's. We just stayed up all night just talking and doing whatever. I don't know what I would do without my friends right now. They help me feel at home in this community. The only problem with my friends this year is that sometimes I get so focused up on them and I end up getting in trouble during classes. I didn't know how to balance school and friends. And it's not like my grades were bad or anything. I just was always messing around, talking on TriMet, and not paying attention on field studies. It was things like these that I needed to work on. Patience from my teachers and a couple of real conversations really helped me figure out how to get the perfect mix and taught me that school isn't just friends 100% of the time. That said, right now the thing I miss most during quarantine about school isn't necessarily my classes, it's my friends. I wanted to say thank you to everyone in this community for making my year here easier and for helping me through this tough process. You all have been the reason my time here has been so good. Thank you for being so accepting and kind, especially since I switched here this year. I'm looking forward to seeing you all soon in the near future. Thank you.
All right, Joseph Bornstein, thank you very much for kicking off our speeches today. We appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, Joseph, take a moment to make sure you have muted your mic, and we are going to turn it over to our second speaker today. Our second speaker today is Max Wallace.
All right. Going to Sunnyside Environmental School for 9 years has been a constant thing in my life and has been a huge part in making me who I am. Being at Sunnyside, I have made my best friends, lost friends, met some great teachers, made mistakes, and had some amazing times. At SES is a community that stands out the most for me and that has always been an anchor in my life. The word community can mean different things for everyone, but to me, it means an environment or people that you feel a connection to and that make you who you are. A big part of Sunnyside is being in community with older and more experienced kids, and I've learned from this. For example, in second grade, I had a buddy whose family owned the candy and sweet store right off Belmont, and I would go there after school, and he would hook me up with free stuff. This made me happy, and I started to realize that buddies and community wasn't just within the walls of school from 8:45 to 3, but it carried into the rest of my life. Another part of this is being in a core class and spending a huge chunk of your time with people older than you. Personally, I've had kids that have been super kind to me and acted like I was no younger or different and just accepted me. In sixth grade, there were some eighth graders that would talk to me, play sports with me, and even play video games with me, and it made the transition into middle school a lot more comfortable and better. Weekly field studies are unique to Sunnyside also, and in this experience, we build our community. We have the option to go out into the community every week. I think these are important because you get to experience firsthand things you are learning about. It's not just the learning that makes these field studies important. It's getting to spend time with your classmates and get through experiences together. One important trip was in Michael's class last year to Mount Tabor because I connected with lots of different people by just talking to them or playing a sport. I made my first friends here in kindergarten. Some of them are still here. Some of us grew apart and others left. While my classes changed each year, my community evolved. The security of being in the same place with familiar people is something I am thankful for. Over the years, I would look forward to different things. Fishing at the harvest fair, the hard work of creating the murals, and seeing all your efforts come together during the Riparian Festival, and attending dances in middle school. SES is not just a traditional school for me. I grew up here. There are people here I've known most of my life. I haven't always felt a sense of security in every part of my life, whether it be at home or trying to decide which friend group I fit into outside of school is sometimes a struggle. School has always been kind of an escape for me. And because I've been in this community for so long, I know I have friends and people who I can be myself around and count on at Sunnyside, which has helped me through my life, and I'm very grateful for that. This has led me to develop who I am as a person. I care about the people I love, I am loyal, and I strive to be kind and considerate person. I learned these values here at school, and it wasn't always perfect. In fact, the last few weeks have not been good. March 13th was our last day of being with our friends in the building, but I didn't know it at the time. I'm mad and disappointed that this is how my time at SES will end. I had been looking forward to going through the last quarter of 8th grade with my friends and the community I grew up in, and now it feels like there's no closure. In my disappointment, I find that I turn to people in my community that are going through the same thing. I talk to friends about what is happening, what we are missing, and then I skate or play some basketball. No one really knows how this will all work out. I certainly did not see a global pandemic showing up at the end of my 8th grade year, but I'm thankful that I have a community of people to go through it with. I will always remember my time at Sunnyside Environmental School. That's it.
Ow, ow, ow! Yeah, Max Wallace! Woo! Thank you, Max Wallace. We appreciate your truth and perspective. Thank you. All right. Our third speaker today is Maddy Aldrin.
I began at Sunnyside in the 6th grade. I had just moved from Selwood, and as is pretty typical, I had no interest in leaving my closest friends and attending a different school. As I entered the building with my parents, I felt butterflies in my stomach and I wanted to go home immediately. I couldn't help but think about how much fun my friends from my old school were having at that exact moment when I had to go to a school where I knew nobody. It just didn't seem fair to me. I climbed the stairs, unsure of what to make of this new experience. Kids who have known each other since kindergarten raced past me, eager to start the next 3 years of their lives. There I was, feeling anxiety-ridden and very much alone, standing in the doorway of my new classroom. Looking back on that day 3 years later, I laugh at my past self. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade have definitely been the most interesting years of my life so far, filled with making new friends and experiencing new things. Embracing change is hard. In many ways, it's easier to cling to the familiar, such as good friends and familiar places, and lament what we're losing. In other words, it's very easy to contract a case of the poor me's when you're presented with change. The problem is, this can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have the mindset that you're going to have the worst 3 years of your life and not make any friends, there's a good chance that it is probably going to happen. I came to the realization that since I couldn't do anything about it, I might as well just try and make the most of my new situation. I think we are told so often to embrace change and dive into the unknown fearlessly. These can be huge leaps during adolescence. What I can recommend, though, is to remain open, even if it's just a little bit, to possibilities. I am so glad that I changed my mindset because I have met my best friends at Sunnyside. During middle school, I have identified myself internally and externally. I am beyond grateful to have found myself at SES and wouldn't trade my experience here for anything. My anxiety makes it hard for me when I miss out on things. It doesn't even have to be a big event. I always start to feel bad about myself and think about how much my friends are having without me. This did not make it very hard to switch schools in 6th grade, but this upcoming year, I'm going to a different school than all of my friends. I know that this change may be difficult at times, but I also know that I will benefit a lot from it. As the old saying goes, do one thing a day that scares you. This should cover me for a while. I know that my 4 years of high school that are coming up will be pivotal to determining who I will become as a person and who I want to be for the rest of my life. Although I feel like I have already found myself in middle school, I know, and my parents remind me, that I will change a lot in these upcoming years. Change has been constant for me, and I've been experiencing it my entire life. When I was in first grade, my parents sat my sister and I down and explained that they were getting a divorce. New to what that meant, I was in shock to what was happening and unaware what effect it would have on my life. That event definitely altered my life, but if it had not happened, I would not have so many new experiences, met new people, and I wouldn't even have a baby brother. Like they say, when one door closes, another one opens. It seems as though life is repeating itself this year, and we are moving to a new house, and I'm attending a new school. I'm adjusting, but it's hard not to think negatively about this whole situation. I'm big on overthinking and find myself doing it a lot. Missing one shot in basketball makes me think I'm a terrible player. Seeing all the beautiful women on social media makes me think I'm ugly and not worth it. Getting one bad grade and thinking I'm stupid. These changes emphasize the thoughts in my head, turning the volume up higher and higher to the point I can't focus on anything else. These are times when I need to take a deep breath and reassure myself. This is easier said than done when my brain is telling me that I'm worthless and terrible. But from years of coping and therapy, I know it's what I have to do. I have to center myself and focus on the positive. I have to tell myself that I'm worth it, that I'm beautiful and smart and kind and helpful. I find self-love extremely difficult at times, but it is very necessary for everyone to feel. What I've also found very therapeutic is to know I'm not alone. All my friends have felt this way and experiencing the debilitating feelings that I have. Middle school is a chapter in my life that is closing, and I don't know how to feel. Excited, worried, nervous, happy, sad. To be honest, I'm feeling all of those right now. High school seems so big and scary, but so exciting and full of new people and fun times. Even though I'm worried about it now, I'm sure that new and exciting experiences lie ahead.
Thank you, Maddy. Woo-hoo! Thank you, Maddy Aldrin, for your truth and perspective. We appreciate you. Uh-oh. Sorry, I'm on two computers and things just started happening on the other one with FaceTime and my kid. Okay, we have gone through 3 speakers today. We have 2 speakers left. I want to acknowledge before we transition into those 2 speakers, an appreciation for those of you who are in this meeting holding space for what we are hearing from our 8th grade speakers today. Thank you. I know we're in a 200 plus person meeting, and sometimes folks struggle with tech coming in and out. We appreciate as you come into the space, just being mindful of the expectations and making sure you're holding space for our 8th graders. So thank you, audience. You are an awesome group of humans. That said, it is time to transition to our 4th speaker today. Our 4th speaker today is Samara Sims.
Okay. Pictures. A capture of a moment in my life to remember before it ends, before it changes. I lay in my bed, my entire body filled with a frightened and panicked heartache. Scared of what was to come, crying at the thoughts of growing older, my future changing. Throughout my life, I've been scared of big changes. I would get so content with the way things are that I just don't want them to go any differently. When I was little, my parents and I moved away from Washington, the place I had spent my entire 5 years of life. I was completely spoiled from being the youngest in the family. I would constantly go to different houses shared between everyone. My self-confidence was amazingly high. The fact I was always surrounded by people who loved and cared about me made me feel like a perfect angel. Although I was definitely a little bit self-centered from all the attention, I still wanted the people around me to be happy. I would make sure to compliment my mom every night, calling her beautiful. And whenever she was mad at me, I would ask her, "Are you happy at me now?" Because I never wanted her to be upset. I never want anyone to be upset. Disappointing other people is one of the worst feelings to me. I set high standards for myself. Sometimes I overthink about other people and their opinions about me. I know I really shouldn't, but I can't help but to be scared that every time I'm out in the world, someone is judging me. The way I talk or dress or look, which I can't say I was worried about when I was younger. But anyways, back to little me. I thought I'd be living with my grandparents and parents forever. Each day being full of grandma's amazing cooking and hugs from my grandpa every morning. I had no worries about the future or thought the slightest bit about it. I was caught up in being surrounded by holidays and presents. Everyone seemed happy and so was I. I felt like it would always be that way. One day we moved. I was little aware this was happening. I'd never experienced something like that before. All I knew was that I was leaving to go to a new place, not knowing if I would go back. Soon we were in Portland, Oregon, and before I knew it, I would be going to Sunnyside, my first ever day of school. I wish I could tell little me, don't be scared, because this is where you're going to meet some amazing people and have some of the best experiences, but I can't do that. On my first day of school, I whined at my mom, begging her not to leave, and cried behind an easel. I was so stubborn I wouldn't say a word to my teacher. Soon enough, I was settling in and already trying to show off how fast I could sing the alphabet. This is where I heard a name. It was the same name of one of my friends in Washington. The teacher called on a girl who's one of my best friends today and ended up meaning the world to me. We grew up on like sisters. I look back at photos of us on the beach, our team photos, Halloweens, and I can barely remember what life was like without her. I felt safe again. With her, I felt like I fit in. We both felt like it was easier together when it came to trying new things. After signing up for soccer, my fear of trying new things started to go away. The point is, I've learned to accept change, and sometimes these happen for the better. Next year will be my first year of high school, and I'm pretty sad my time at Sunnyside is over. But I get to make brand new memories and meet new people. I think about what my life would be like if I didn't move. Sometimes it weirds me out. I wouldn't have ever met any of you, and I just want to say I'm so lucky I did. Thank you to all of the 8th graders. The school wouldn't be the same without you. Growing up with all of you has been quite the journey, and I wouldn't have wanted it to happen with any other group of people. I constantly seek having new experiences in my life because I think that's one of the things I value most. And one of the reasons I take photos, just a couple for me to look back on in case I ever forget how beautiful life can be. The good and the bad. I use a lot of other things for capturing moments, like writing poems, songs, or drawing out how I feel. As annoying as having a camera in your face can be, I'm grateful for my family who always had one on them. Without those recordings, I wouldn't be able to see a lot of memories I can't remember. I've learned to accept changes and face them without fear. I've learned that I have an entire life ahead of me. I want other people to know it's okay to be scared. I want to go into every change excited for what's to come. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Samara. We appreciate you. Thank you. Okay. Our last speaker today is Ike Blum Klotz.
I'm the Michael Jordan of procrastination, the LeBron James of avoidance, the Kobe Bryant of distraction. Not into basketball? Let me put it this way. I'm really good at putting things off. How good am I? Imagine. I'm in my basement. I get to my computer, and as soon as I open it and see the bright screen and the Google Doc titled Ike's Speech, my whole body fills with dread. I'm sitting on my yoga ball rolling around. I start to work on my speech, but fall off the ball on purpose, wasting time. I lay on the ground for 5 minutes. I check the clock, hoping it will speed forward and my speech is magically done. It never is. But there's more. This isn't just avoidance. This process that I go through has become excruciating. When I procrastinate, I seem to just make the experience as annoying and as painful as possible for anyone working with me, including myself. In fact, it took me 45 minutes and 7 snack breaks to write just one sentence of this speech. Did I mention that I'm really good at procrastinating? Why am I causing myself so much pain? I'm slowly starting to realize that the reason I struggle with procrastination is because of my negative mindset. The mindset I usually have when writing this speech was, why am I doing this? What's the point if you're not enjoying it? And aren't there more fun things to do than this? When I try and answer these questions, I instantly lose my train of thought, and I can't do anything except stare off into the distance, knowing that I'll be quickly brought back to attention by the person working with me. Despite these struggles, here I am. Maybe I'm not the MVP of procrastination. Maybe I'm just another 8th grade kid taking a roundabout path to finding my voice and making school assignments not feel as impossible. I don't know how I will overcome this procrastination issue in my life yet, but I look to great people to figure out the way forward. Like the Dalai Lama, who once said, know the rules well so you can break them effectively. I heard this quote last year in an 8th grade speech. It spoke to me because I've been trying to break the rules to make school work for me my whole life. I had to learn how to pay attention when I wasn't interested, how to ask for help when I didn't understand, and how to write a speech about how I didn't want to write a speech. Who knows? Maybe one of you will be inspired by these words to find your path, to find out how life works for you.
Thank you, Ike. We appreciate you. Hooray, y'all. We just did it. As we hear from Carrie and Robin to summarize and appreciate what our 5 speakers put out there today, be considering, folks, what stood out to you, what landed with you, and what you could put out into your core class communities and onto the Padlets as we leave this space to celebrate our speakers after we hear from Carrie and Robin. Thank you all. Carrie, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Michael. And thank you so much, 8th graders. Each of those speeches was remarkable. I'm going to start with Samara. Samara, I can't see you, but I'm talking to you. And the love and appreciation that you have for your family just came right through. Oh, I see you. Came right through your words. It was wonderful. Like I could feel that. And not only the appreciation you had for your family, but the way that you would support them as they had modeled support for you. And I know that move wasn't on your radar or on your list of things to do, but I'm so thankful that it happened because it brought you to Sunnyside. And I heard in your speech talking about making a friend that you have been able to have now for the last 7 years and how wonderful that has been. One of the strategies I liked was talking to your younger self, like if we could, right, Samara, that would be amazing. And what you would tell that self is so important. And I'm hoping that you can also tell and listen as your older self that you have the skills of resilience that you have fostered. Resilience doesn't just happen. Things happen, change happens, unexpected moves happen, and how you take part in that process matters. And I think it's made you an incredibly strong human. And my hope for you is if that inner critic pops up, that you make sure that you tap into all the things that you've done here at Sunnyside and those relationships. And that I think high school, I am so excited to hear about how high school is for you. Thank you so much, Samara. All right, Maddy, I can't see you. I don't see you, Maddy. All right, but I'm talking to you, Mads. I thought your opening captured beautifully what it must be like to enter a school where the large majority of kids have been together, there you are, in some capacity. So to be a sixth grader, to be in middle school and show up at a place where you don't know anyone, but you can tell that people know each other or have been together for some time. I thought you captured that feeling in your speech. And I appreciated your perspective of, I wish I could like tell that person it's going to be okay, even though at the time it didn't feel that great. I think it's super important that you mentioned mindset and how we approach things. And if you tell yourself this isn't going to work out, then it's probably not going to. And your ability to tell yourself, even if it's just a little bit, like, okay, there's a possibility this is going to work out, or I've got to find the way for this to work out. And I thought the idea that you have felt familiar to yourself externally and internally, like who you are or who you want to be or what's important to you, and that you've been able to find that over the last 3 years is super important. And I agree with your parents. Change is a constant, right? It's an absolute constant, but you have the skills to take on those changes, even if they're ones that you're not really looking forward to. And I think that going forward for you, it's going to be a journey that you are able to take part in a way that is a fulfilling path for you. I'm so proud of you, Maddy. I remember 6th grade, Matt.
Thank you.
You are welcome. All right, the last one I'm going to do is Max Wallace. Are you there, Max? Hi. I think the idea of community being important is something that I think any teacher or student would be able to tell you it's something that's important to Sunnyside as a school. And when it was started years ago by Sarah, that community was the core of what it is. And sometimes we do it well and sometimes we don't, because sometimes it's messy. And I so appreciated each student's different and they find community in different places. And you explained very clearly that what worked for you in community was being a buddy. I know there were challenges sometimes being a buddy, the older buddy, and that you found it in your different core classes and in your elementary classes through the years. And then you found it in the field studies, which a lot of times teachers can be more focused on the lesson, but you were able to, even if the lesson didn't go well, you were going through it with a bunch of people in a shared experience. And you even recognized that that's where community showed up for you. And you mentioned that it hasn't always been perfect, and it hasn't been. And in the 8th graders have found themselves in a place of unexpected disappointment. And what I heard in your words is that even though this has made you frustrated or angry, that the people you're going back to is that community of people that are going through the same thing. And you're talking about it and you're moving through it together. And that's where resilience is built for the times in our lives when we're disappointed. So you're taking the steps to move through an unexpected end to the 8th grade year. And I am so thankful to have had you in class and to be able to have watched you all these years grow up here. And I so appreciate your speech and your words. Well done, Max. All right, Robin is going to continue.
Hey everyone, can you hear me and see me, Carrie?
Yes.
Oh my God, awesome. Thank you so much, Carrie. And it's so great to see all of you. I can't actually see you, but I know you're out there. Ike, my friend, you did it. This speech is truly you, but it manages to draw a profound and relatable connection to all different types of learners. You speak to struggles about finding motivation and finding your own voice. I laughed out loud and I found myself crying in some moments. You dropped knowledge on us all. Thank you so much for being vulnerable. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your introspective honesty. Just as you cited the Dalai Lama's quote from an 8th grade speech that stuck with you from the past, I have no doubt that your words will resonate and stick with many in this audience today. I, for one, will surely laugh to myself when I finally get to watch some NBA again and think to myself, Ike, the LeBron of avoidance. Solid work, Ike. Thank you again. You did it. All right, Joseph, my friend, you have done it. Thank you for your vulnerability and your courage to tell your story. You shared a window into your experience and you did a beautiful job of describing small moments in detail. Although the audience is filled with a range of humans from lifers to new members of the community, just like you and I, this feeling of newness and discomfort can be extended into so many situations. Finding a community of friends where you can be yourself is such an important and powerful tool. Thank you for reminding us of the power of creating true human connection through these unfamiliar situations. I'm so thankful for your voice and hard work, Joseph. You also rocked this whole public speaking thing. All right, everyone, that pretty much sums up our 8th grade speeches for Monday. Thank you all for staying present, supportive, and open-minded as we carry on this tradition on this wild new platform. Remember to give positive feedback on Padlet to Samara, Max, Maddy, Joseph, and Ike. They all deserve all the love and props in the world for what they've just shared with us. Head back down the digital hallway, go check in with your core class and your fabulous core teachers, and we'll meet back tomorrow